It was just another late-night drive. I'd done this route a dozen times before, cruising through the endless stretch of Arizona desert between Tucson and Flagstaff. The desert has a strange kind of peace to it at night. With no one around, the silence stretches far and deep, broken only by the hum of my engine and the occasional gust of wind brushing against the windows. The stars above were unusually clear, casting a silver-blue glow over the arid landscape. I had the windows down, letting the dry, cool breeze in while some soft classic rock played on the radio. I was heading back from visiting family, trying to beat the morning rush by driving through the night. I was alone, or so I thought. Just a man, his truck, and miles of sand and road. At a gas station just before the real isolation kicked in, the clerk, a weathered old man, warned me half-jokingly, "Watch out for ghosts on Route 87. I laughed, thinking it was some local color or just a bored attendant having a little fun. Still, the way he said it stuck with me. There was something in his eyes, like he had seen something he couldn't explain. His tone wasn't entirely playful either. There was a sliver of seriousness, a shadow that crossed his face. That was the first sign. But I didn't realize it yet. If I had, I might have turned around right then. About an hour into the drive, with the moon hanging low behind scattered clouds, things started to feel off. The air grew unnaturally cold inside the cab, even with the heater on. I reached over to adjust the dial, but the warmth never returned. My headlights flickered once, just for a second, but it was enough to make me sit up straighter, gripping the wheel tighter. Then came the fog, a thick wall of it, rolling across the road like smoke from an invisible fire. Arizona doesn't get much fog, especially not in the desert. It clung to the truck, reducing visibility to almost nothing. The road ahead vanished into a gray abyss, and I slowed down, nerves twitching. That's when I saw her. Standing on the side of the road, completely still, was a woman. She wore a flowing white dress that almost shimmered in the dim light. Her hair was long and dark, tangled in the wind, and her head was slightly bowed. She didn't have a bag, just stood there like she had been waiting. I pulled over instinctively. Maybe she was stranded. Maybe she needed help. I rolled down the passenger window and leaned over. "You okay? Need a ride?" She didn't speak, just slowly opened the door and got in. She pointed straight ahead, her eyes never meeting mine. I asked where she was going. Nothing. She just kept pointing forward. The silence was heavier than any I'd felt before. I hesitated, but something told me to drive. I kept driving, glancing at her from time to time. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at the road ahead. Every now and then the truck would creak like we hit a bump, but the road was smooth. It felt like the air itself had thickened inside the cab. After about 10 minutes, I finally worked up the nerve to speak again. "Are you all right? Where exactly do you need to go?" Silence. I turned to look at her. She was gone. The seat was empty. No door had opened, no sound, just gone, like she had never been there. My heart pounded. I pulled over, stepped out, and checked the truck. Nothing. I even looked under the seats, convinced I was losing it. That's when I remembered the gas station clerk's warning. I suddenly didn't feel so alone. The wind howled louder, like it was whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear. When I reached the next town, I stopped at a diner. I told the waitress what happened, laughing nervously, hoping she'd tell me I was crazy. She didn't laugh. She paled. "You saw her, didn't you? The lady in white. She died on that road 10 years ago in a car crash. Locals say she still tries to find her way home." Her voice trembled. Others in the diner looked up, nodding slowly. This wasn't a local myth. It was something more. The next few nights, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing her, her blank stare, her pale face. I even began digging into the story. Found news clippings about a woman named Angela, who died in a car accident on that very stretch, hit head-on by a drunk driver. Her body was thrown from the car, never found until weeks later, dressed in the same white gown she wore to her sister's wedding. The details matched perfectly. I became obsessed. I started driving the same route again at night, Same time, same conditions. Hoping to see her again, to ask her something, anything. But she never came back. Until one night, a week later, I saw her again. Same place, same fog, same silent expression. Only this time, when she got into the truck, she looked at me. Her eyes were empty, not sad, not angry, just hollow, like looking into the bottom of a dry well. She reached out slowly and touched my hand, ice cold. And then she spoke. Don't let him take me again. Then she was gone. Again. As if she had never been there. I dug deeper. Angela's story wasn't what it seemed. The drunk driver. He was never found. The car that hit her vanished without a trace. Witnesses claimed they saw a second car behind hers the night of the crash. A black sedan with no license plate. It hit me then. My father had driven a black sedan. He used to take Route 87 often on business. He died when I was young. I looked into his old records, dusted off journals in the attic. One entry chilled me to the bone. Something followed me on Route 87 last night. A woman in white. I didn't stop. I couldn't. I still see her in my dreams. Had he seen her too? Or worse, had he hit her? The pieces didn't fit easily, but I couldn't shake the thought that my father had been involved somehow. That the accident wasn't so random. I went back one final time. Same night, same road. This time I brought a bouquet of white lilies, Angela's favorite, according to her sister, whom I tracked down. I drove in silence. No music, no distractions. Just the road and my thoughts. When I saw her, I didn't stop. I placed the flowers by the roadside where she always stood and whispered, "I'm sorry, for whatever happened." That night I slept peacefully for the first time. No dreams, no fog. But 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just a small creased photograph inside. It was Angela, standing in front of a black sedan, my father's car. There's a part of me that still wonders if the curse isn't over, if she's still out there, waiting for the truth to fully come out. And sometimes late at night, when I pass that stretch of road again, I leave the passenger seat empty. I've hauled freight all across the U.S. Snowstorms in Montana, blistering heat in Texas, you name it. But the hills of West Virginia always held something different, something quiet, still, almost like the trees themselves were listening. It was late fall, the kind where the leaves had turned into fire-red ashes, blanketing the narrow mountain roads. I had a load of timber bound for Charleston, and I was making good time until I hit Route 16, near an old, forest-cloaked incline. There was a tunnel up ahead, old, cracked, forgotten by time. I'd passed it a few times before, but never paid much attention. It was just another relic from the railroad era, barely wide enough for a single vehicle. That night, something felt different. The road around the tunnel seemed darker than usual. My headlights dimmed inexplicably, and then, just a few hundred feet away from the entrance, my engine sputtered and died. It was as if the truck itself didn't want to go any closer. I popped the hood and grabbed my flashlight, cursing under my breath. That's when I heard it, the distant sound of a child screaming. It cut through the cold air like a razor, high-pitched and desperate. At first I told myself it was probably a fox or some echo from deeper in the hills. But then the scream came again, clear, human, young. Against every instinct honed over years of solo highway nights, I moved toward the mouth of the tunnel, flashlight in hand. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing cracked stone walls, rusted rail tracks, and graffiti so old its colors had melted into the rocks, but no sign of anyone. "Hello?" I called out. Nothing, just the sound of my voice echoing back. I stepped further inside. The air changed immediately. The temperature dropped, sharp and fast. My breath fogged up and a damp chill crept up my spine like icy fingers. Then I saw it. A child's shoe. Small, pink, frayed around the edges, half buried in gravel and dirt. I turned and backed out fast, nearly tripping over loose stones. A few miles down the road, I pulled into a roadside diner. It was the kind of place that hadn't changed in 50 years. Wood-paneled walls, a cracked linoleum floor, and a rusted jukebox in the corner playing faint country tunes. I tried to shake off what I'd seen and made small talk with the cook. When I mentioned the tunnel, his face changed. The smile dropped. His eyes hardened. "No trucker goes near that tunnel after dark," he muttered. "That place, it's where she died." I couldn't let it go. That scream, that little shoe, the way the air changed inside the tunnel. The cook told me about the girl, Emily. She'd died in a fire over 50 years ago when a passenger train caught fire inside the tunnel. No one ever figured out what caused it. 13 people died. Emily was the youngest, 8 years old. She was on her way to visit her grandparents. Some say she was trapped in the back car when the flames reached it. They heard her screams echo through the hills. The fire crew arrived too late. By then, the tunnel had collapsed. That night I found myself at the county library, flipping through yellowed newspaper clippings. There it was. Tunnel fire claims 13 lives. Youngest victim, 8-year-old Emily Carter. I started asking around. Local truckers, old-timers. Everyone had a story, a whisper. Some said they'd heard cries while driving past. Others had seen shadows moving, shapes darting through the fog. One retired conductor shared a chilling tale of spotting a flickering figure in the beam of his lantern. He stopped short of details, his eyes full of fear. The puzzle pieces wouldn't leave me alone. I dreamt of the tunnel, of fire, of a little girl's scream, of soot-stained hands reaching toward me from the dark. I had to go back. I returned the next night, determined to face whatever haunted that place. This time I came prepared. Digital recorder, extra batteries, notebook, a high-powered flashlight, even a small cross my mother had given me years ago. Midnight found me parked 100 feet from the tunnel. The hills were eerily quiet. Not a bird, not a breeze. I stepped into the tunnel. My flashlight flickered once, twice, before stabilizing. The air inside was colder than any night before. The silence felt intentional. Then I heard it, footsteps, light, quick, like a child running on gravel. I froze. The beam of my flashlight trembled as I scanned the tunnel. "Who's there?" I called. Then came the whisper, "Help me." It echoed unnaturally. I turned and saw her, a faint outline of a girl, her dress charred and tattered, hair singed, face smeared with soot and pain. Her eyes locked with mine, full of sorrow and fury. And then she screamed. The sound was piercing, unnatural, more a wail from another world than a child's cry. My flashlight exploded with a loud pop. Darkness swallowed me. Smoke filled the tunnel, thick and choking, though no flames burned. I stumbled backward, coughing, tripping over old rails. When I looked up, she was gone. Back at the diner the next day, I looked like hell, pale, shaken. I told the old cook everything. His hands trembled as he lit a cigarette. "You said your name is Mark?" "Yeah." He studied me, eyes narrowed. "You're not the first, but you might be the last." He disappeared into a back room and returned with a dusty shoebox filled with old photos. Black and white, burned edges. One photo caught my eye, a young couple and a little girl, Emily. But standing beside them, a man who looked exactly like me. "That's your grandfather," the cook said quietly. "James Carter. He was the one driving the train that night. Folks say he jumped off before the crash. Others say he vanished." A heavy silence settled. My chest tightened. My grandfather had disappeared from family stories long ago. No one ever told me why. I returned to the tunnel one last time, not to chase ghosts, but to make peace. The gravel crunched beneath my boots as I stepped inside. In the silence, I spoke aloud. I'm sorry for what he did, for what he didn't do. That's when I saw it, a glint beneath the gravel. I reached down and uncovered a silver locket. Inside was a photo of Emily and my grandfather. He hadn't disappeared. He'd run. Left them behind. I held the locket in shaking hands. I'm sorry, I whispered again. The air shifted, warmer, softer. A gentle wind stirred the dust, and from the darkness, a soft, childlike voice replied, "Thank you." Since that night, the tunnel has been quiet. No more screams, no more shadows, just stone and silence. But sometimes when I'm driving through those winding Appalachian roads under the silver light of the moon, I see her in my rearview mirror. Just for a moment, watching, waiting,